Go ahead and call this special board meeting into session. First thing up is information items. 2.1, finance discussion and action concerning the review of the budget recap and timeline. And 2.2 will be discussion concerning the budget challenges and opportunities. Mr. Dugas, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you, sir.
Thank you. The budget timeline that is attached is a little bit different. After discussions with the superintendent, we've decided to consolidate the May 15th meeting into the May 7th meeting. Because of some of the information we've seen, we've made some progress we weren't really expecting in the beginning. So we were able to hopefully consolidate that all into one meeting. So at this meeting, we'll be going over the review of the non-general fund budgets, the special revenue fund, capital improvement fund, self-funded construction, debt service, combined sales tax fund, school food service, cafe Beauregard, and then the budget and challenges worksheet as an information item. On May 7th, which is a Wednesday, we have that at 5 o'clock, we will be going over the group insurance fund, a preliminary report of the general fund budget and projected revenue and expenses, a review of all the general fund cost centers, special revenue funds, capital projects funds, debt service funds, combined sales tax funds, school food service fund, cafe Beauregard, 2002 sales tax, and the group insurance fund. At that point, we will ask the board to adopt the budget to go into the review process. We're required to post this both online and physically at this building for at least 15 days, also advertise it in the paper. So once we meet those requirements, we will come back on June 12th, which is a board meeting day, at 4 o'clock to actually adopt the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Dugas. We're going to go ahead and go to the consent agenda. Mr. Dugas, I'll go through them one by one, but I'll turn it over to the super. Oh,
We do have 2.2.
Oh, you didn't do 2.2 yet? I'm sorry.
Lisa?
So, Matt, let me just kind of address the board. So first of all, before we get into 2.2, just wanted to kind of just let you guys know that, Matt's going to go through a presentation that's going to be real quick. You'll see that there is some things that we started with. It's going to be a little glim, but at the end, you'll see that everything will work itself out. Matt?
Stealing my thunder, Superintendent. So yes, as Superintendent said, basically we have been working very hard on the general fund budget, and today I'm just going to kind of present you a high-level overview. On the next meeting we have on May 7th, we will present this in detail down to the individual line items, cost centers, and then high level. So as far as you want to go deep or as high as you want to go, we'll have all those reports for you at that meeting. But I just wanted to kind of give you an update of where we are now. So we started with an adjusted rollover budget for the general fund. So we start with the fiscal year 25 budget as of January, roll that over. Then we have the cost centers turn in their budget increase and decrease requests for fiscal year 26. The reports are evaluated, and fiscal year 26 revenues are estimated to create a starting point for the budget. Once we got that, after a $1.2 million cut to the district office cost centers, staff was able to generate a small surplus of about $198,000 to start the process. So that was our baseline. That's where we started. So this is where we start with our rollover budget surplus. Our first challenge, of course, was the local revenue diverted to charter schools. As you can see, here's a history from 2015 through what we're projecting in 2026 and 27. 25 is actual numbers. The next chart is a chart of those same amount of numbers divvied up by the different charter schools that are currently in the parish. Due to the expansion of Lafayette Charter Academy, staff is estimating an increase in transfers to charter schools of over $4.6 million. To offset this increase, we are using $3.4 million of MFP mitigation funds reserved for this purpose, in combination with an increase in MFP revenue of about $1.2 million available to conservative budget in the fiscal year 25 rollover. So we did estimate a little bit, we were very conservative in MFP, so we were able to add the 1.2 to help balance that out. So on the next page, you see that we put in the revenue to charters, but then we were able to offset it with those two revenue line items to get back to the 198 surplus total. The next thing is the increased transfer to self-funded construction. The amount of bond proceeds needed to complete the pending construction projects After we use the reserve funds set aside for these projects, will require an estimated $4 million in annual debt service. The rollover budget already had $3 million. As you know, we had that last year and a couple of years before. So we need an additional $1 million to be budgeted for future debt service after the debt is issued. So you see, we added that to the subtotal. So we're at a negative $800,000 at this point. Increase in teacher salaries to the $50,000 benchmark. To improve recruitment and retention of certified teachers, the superintendent has established a goal of increasing the starting teacher salary to $50,000. The net cost of the general fund beyond the 2002 tax funding capability of $4.5 million is estimated to be about $1,386,000 with benefits. So that got added to the deficit, bringing us to 2.1. Next, we are talking about the instructional and administrative pay scale index on the $50,000 teacher benchmark. The instructional and administrative pay scales use the teacher pay scale as a base for their index to pay these employees. So when you adjust the teacher scale, this also gets adjusted. The cost of granting these employees, the amount granted to teachers plus the index, is about $1.141 million. The instructional scale is about $162,000 for the administrative index, for a total of about $1.3 million. That brings us to a total of right under a deficit of about $3.5 million. The next one is something the superintendent has been talking a lot and staff have been talking a lot about, is teacher incentives. To encourage learning and growth in particular core content subjects, the superintendent would like to offer incentive pay for meeting certain benchmarks. The estimated cost of this incentive pay is about $3 million. We added that. We're at $6.5 million deficit. In addition to that, he would also like to have some administrative incentives to reward administrators that meet certain academic goals. For the superintendent would like to offer an incentive program for school-based administrators. That estimated cost is about right under $400,000. That brings us to about $6.9 million deficit. We go on to stipends for extracurricular activities. To encourage staff to engage students in extracurricular activities, the superintendent would like to offer stipends for various activities such as band, clubs, and coaching. The estimated cost of these stipends, $655,000. That brings us to a running total negative of $7.5 million. Then we have the general fund cost of implementation of the ACE program at Alice Boucher. Beginning in the 2026 school year, Alice Boucher will operate under the ACE model, which we have seen evidently a lot of success with. Although most of the additional cost of the program is funded by a generous donation from the Pew Foundation, the general fund will be responsible for about $91,800 annually. Once we add that, we're right at 7.6. So now we come to some of the budget opportunities. The reorganization of the district office approved by the board in February results in elimination and adjusted positions, generating a budget savings of $1,274,000. So that brings down the deficit to about $6,359,189. Budget opportunities, school consolidation and staffing adjustments, a comprehensive review of staffing at all schools in light of the recent decline in enrollment and other factors resulting in the elimination and consolidation of many positions. In addition, the closing of S.J. Montgomery and the reconfiguration of Lafayette Middle to Lafayette Elementary, as well as attendance zones modifications, allowed for more efficient staffing and reduction of overhead. The estimated cost savings in staffing, $6,199,000, right at $6.2 million. The estimated cost in savings of utilities at S.J. Montgomery that will be demoed, about $160,000, for a total savings of right under $6.4 million. And with that, we believe we have balanced the general fund budget for fiscal year 26. Self-funded health insurance challenge. So in fiscal year 25, general fund transferred $6,639,000 to self-funded insurance fund for operational deficit. In fiscal year 26, this will be converted to employer premium increases. It is estimated that even with the increased employer contribution, the health insurance fund will need an additional $5 million in fiscal year 26 in plan design savings to overcome a deficit. So that's still a remaining challenge. But as discussions with the superintendent, we feel that this needs to be addressed further down the road once we determine what that 5 million might be. We're hoping it's substantially less. If you do nothing, it'll be 5 or 6 million, which we assume nothing is not an option. Whatever will be done will reduce that substantially. But even then, it's a temporary problem, which would not require a reduction in the general fund, some kind of program, because that needs to be fixed one way or the other. And superintendent may want to comment.
Yeah, so board members, let me first of all state that if you go back to that insurance, who was on the insurance? All right, so first, if you just look at where we are as far as premiums and things that we're doing as far as the health insurance plan, we should be breaking somewhat even. But we know that we're not where we need to be as far as the plan is concerned, so we're putting $6.6 million in. Even with that $6.6 million, the health insurance is saying that we're gonna need an additional $5 million. I am saying that we're not gonna budget that at this time, and we're going to rely on certain things that we're gonna need to do as far as the health insurance plan to be able to hopefully take care of that $5 million and give us some of our money back as far as that $6 million is concerned. So we're gonna put 6.6 from the beginning, but I am saying that let's not budget that 5 million. Let's make some decisions as a board that are hopefully gonna yield some costs that takes care of the 5 million and hopefully cuts into to us to get some of those millions dollar, that $6.6 million back. So that is our approach as far as that. There's some big decisions that need to be made. We've been working with Mr. Hidalgo and the insurance committee, and we're just gonna make sure that you guys know that that's our approach going into next year.
Mr. Superintendent, I certainly understand why we're doing all this. I'm a little bit concerned, though, that you're labeling the $6.6 million as converted employer premium increases. That simply means that the taxpayer, is taking the burden on this, and it's coming straight from the general fund. And I don't want to have this as a conversation piece of converting that over as a permanent solution. It is not a permanent solution. This board is not necessarily voted yet, but the will of this board has been made clear that we need to fix our problem. And I'm not saying this is a Band-Aid, but if we keep doing this every year, we're going to forget about it. This could be like, oh, well, we've done it so many years, let's just keep doing it. We need to chip into this 6.6 million. I understand that the additional 5 million, I feel confident that they'll be coming back with some solid, our consultants will be coming back with solid recommendations. But I'm asking, and unless this board votes differently, that we not just look at this 6.6 million as, just regular business moving forward. We need to do something about that.
So do we not want to convert it? We want to keep it as a transfer?
No, I know why you're doing it, and I appreciate it. I just don't want it to be a permanent,
Okay.
action every year.
I just didn't want to come with something that.
Nope, I know why you're doing it. I appreciate it. It's the right thing to do. It needs to be split across from the employer standpoint, but I don't want it to be part of our burden every year.
So the 6, and what he was pointing out is that the 6.6 is purely the general fund, and actually, when you spread it into the premiums, you're spreading it along all the other funds that have employees. Food service has a lot of employees. Title I has a lot of employees. So those funds start paying those premiums, which in essence will reduce the burden to the general fund less than the 6.6. We should have an estimate of that. Tricia's working on that. I didn't want to present it yet. This is kind of a worst case scenario. Anything else is a plus. We're good. But we wanted to assume the worst conservative opinion in getting the budget balance as of this point.
Are you through with 2.2?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go on to the consent agenda. I'm gonna go ahead and let Mr. Dugas run through them one at a time instead of me doing them. You have anything, Ms. Superintendent? Okay. Mr. Dugas, if you'll start with 3.1 and run us through it, and we'll vote it in. We'll vote in global on these.
Thank you. 3.1 is the special revenue fund. As you can see, this year we've actually divided it into 2 different reports to align one report to basically any fundings that's coming through EGMS, which is the state portal for grants, is in one page, and everything else is on the other page. This is based on our grant funds and our one-time money, and any questions on that one? The next one's the Capital Improvement Fund. As you know, we pre-funded a lot of projects, so you will see a very small budget for this for fiscal year '26 because we pre-funded, but the next 3 pages are all the projects that are currently budgeted and underway, which will be carried over from the previous year. Same thing with self-funded construction. A lot of that was pre-funded in fiscal year '25 for the fiscal year '26 revenue. So although it seems like a small budget, in the back you'll see all the projects that are currently budgeted and underway are in process. School food service budget, we're presenting a budget that's balanced, and that's our school food service program, pretty much revenue equaling expenditures. The debt service fund, this does not include the new debt that we're talking about tonight. Once the debt is issued, the budget will revise to reflect the new debt obligations with an offset to the $4 million that we budgeted in the general fund. That'll just show that way automatically once we get that done. The next one is our Cafe Beauregard. The goal is to break even or have a small surplus. This is the cafe that is in correlation with our Culinary Academy, and we are showing and hoping that we have a small net income in that after everything's over of about $1,100, $1,200. The next one is the Combined Sales Tax Fund. As you know, we collect sales tax for all the jurisdictions in the parish, and this is just the budget of the operations of that particular fund. And I believe that's the last one. Yes. Any questions?
I'll go ahead and ask for a motion. Can I have a motion to vote these in globo, please?
I make a motion that the board approve all action consent items with the exception of items pooled.
Do I have a second? Mr. Lejeune, I have a motion by Mr. Bergeron, seconded by Mr. Lejeune. I'll go ahead and ask if there's any public comment on items 3.1 to 3.7. Hearing none, any board comment on items 3.1 to 3.7?
Over here, just one little thing.
Yes, sir, Mr.
So I
Bergeron.
just want to point out the Cafe Beauregard Fund. This is just for public mention. So like last year, we had to make a budget amendment to start the program, right? We started it like midsummer, I think, something to that effect. A lot of people questioned whether or not where the money was going to come from, and I told multiple people it's going to be self-funded. Like, so I just want to point out that at 3.6 shows, that's a self-funded program. It's actually giving us a little bit of money, not much, out of it through sales of the food, et cetera, correct? All right.
Yes.
Matt's saying yes. So I just wanted to point that out to the public, that whole program is self-funded.
Self-sustaining.
Any other board comment? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Six for, none against.
Motion carries. This is the only items on this agenda. We'll go ahead and adjourn this special board meeting. Our regular board meeting will take place at 5 p.m.